It is 6 o'clock. This is Monday, April 3, 2023, at 6 p.m. Community Development Corporation, our regular meeting. We have a quorum. I do hereby call the meeting to order. That's item A. Item B, invocation and pledge of allegiance. Mr. Milo.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for good weather that we have, and we thank you for just another day of life. We thank you for the gentlemen that are on this board and that give of their time to serve our community. We thank you for them and their families. Ask you to be with them as they make decisions tonight, and may they be in the best interest of Los Fresnos. We thank you for all that Los Fresnos is, and for us always being able to turn to you, and you continue to bless this community. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under item C, Citizens Forum, Ms. Jackie, anyone sign up? Okay, that being the case, we move to action items under D1. Consideration and action to approve the minutes of March 6, 2023. That's on page 4 of your docket. I'm sorry, not the docket, of your packet. I'm in the wrong room. Questions, comments, discussion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the minutes from March 6, 2023.
And I'll second that motion, as I have reviewed the minutes as well, and they look very good.
There's a motion and a second that we approve the minutes from March 6, 2023. Any further questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Under action item D2, consideration and action to acknowledge the March 2023 financial report under A, monthly, B, year-to-date, and C, sales tax report. Mr. Milo.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this was given to you this evening because the end of the year was not over till Saturday, till Friday. So we had to print it this morning for the end of the month. I'm sorry, I said end of year, right? End of month. So the first page just shows the checks, nothing out of the ordinary there. The total is $17,479.55. The next page you can see on the top portion shows revenue, and revenue so far this year is $273,667.94 in sales tax, a little over almost $3,600 in interest. Brings us to 49.40%. We're 0.60% behind budget. We said that we would be pretty flat, so that's what's happening. I don't know if we should have said it because now it happens, or it's good that we said it because it was going to happen. Regardless, we're still doing well because we knew that that was probably going to be the case. Expenditures are $88,148.57. That's 15.71% of our budget, so still doing well overall. Got plenty to in a rainy day fund in case we need it. The last page, the other pages are just breakdowns in different ways. The last page shows you our sales tax collections this year versus last year. This month we were 1.48% up, which is good. Overall 0.49%. So again, you can see the flat from last year and what we predicted. And that's all we have, unless you have questions.
Thank you, Mr. Milo. Any questions, comments, discussion on Mr. Mylum's report? Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to consider the action acknowledgement on the March 2023 financial report, A, monthly, B, year-to-date, and C, sales tax report.
Second.
There's a motion and a second that we acknowledge the March 2023 financial report, A monthly, B year-to-date, and C sales tax report. Any questions, discussion, comments?
No, sir.
That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Moving on to action item on number D4, consideration and action to approve a sign grant for the shop located at 910 South Arroyo Boulevard, Suite E1. Okay. Let's do this again. Under D3, consideration and action to approve a sign grant for the Boost Kitchen located at 315 North Arroyo, Suite 2. That's page 9 of your packet.
Mr. President, the committee met regarding this sign grant for the Boost Kitchen. The lowest bid was for a graphic spot for the amount of $2,950. City's portion would be $1,475. Committee approved.
And that's a recommendation of the committee?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do I hear any questions, comments, discussion?
I have a question. Where exactly is this place? I have a.
It's
hard time with
located where
directions.
the kettle corn, yeah, right next door to the sweets.
North Arroyo is
Yeah, well,
actually Paredes Line Road.
Paredes Line Road. Yeah, that's where it's at. It's right next to the kettle corn there, right there.
Any further questions, comment, discussion? That being the case, do I hear a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the sign grant to the Boost Kitchen in the amount of, well, the lowest bid was $2,050, the graphics spot, and CDC's portion would be $1,025. I apologize.
I threw you off.
Yeah, you did. Where's my picture? My apologies. Yeah, $2,950 for the graphic spot, and city's portion was $1,475.
And I'll second the motion to approve the sign grant for the Boost Kitchen located at 315 North Arroyo Boulevard, Suite number 2, for the amount stated.
There's a motion and a second. We approved the sign grant in the amount of $2,950, and our portion is $1,475, and that is for the Boost Kitchen. Any questions, comment, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Now, here comes number 4. Consideration and action to approve a sign grant for the shop located at 910 South Arroyo Boulevard, Suite E1. That's page 17 of your packet.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Again, we met, Business Incentive Grant Committee met regarding this. It's for a sign grant for the shop, and it's located at 910 South Arroyo Boulevard, E as in Edward 1 in Los Fresnos. The lowest bid was for the graphic spot in the amount of $2,050. CDC's portion would be $1,025. Committee approved for recommended approval.
Second that.
Yes, there's no motion yet to second, but any questions, comment, discussion? That being the case, do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion that we approve the sign for the business, the shop, in the amount of $1,025. That be in our portion.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the sign grant for the shop at 910 Arroyo Boulevard, Suite E1. Any questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. We can come back to this. We can go to the end of our list and then come back to this item number 5. That'd be great. Okay. We okay with that, Mr. Mata? Okay, we're skipping 5 for the moment because we're waiting on someone to arrive. But we're going to move on to 6, and that is consideration and action to approve funding for the street project. Page 25 of your packet, Mr. Milo.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, y'all approved up to $175,000 for a street project that we're doing. And it has to do with several streets that are connected to businesses, of course. That's how only the parts that you can do. We can't approve anything in a residential area because it's not connected to helping our businesses. So we identified those and you all approved $175,000. The bids came in naturally higher with the way everything's been. For those 3 streets that are included, it's $203,665.25. So we're asking to increase that amount from 175 to 203,665.25, which is a little over $28,000.
Any questions, comments, discussion?
Is this already bid out?
Yes, that's from the bid.
That money's already been set aside, or is something that's going to hit our books?
It will hit, yeah. It hasn't hit yet.
The 175 was already approved,
It was already approved, but
but it hasn't been spent.
Right,
So we're getting an additional 28
right.
for this one.
Anything further?
Now,
Push the button when you
once we
speak.
get.
I said, as long as it's for the betterment of our community, let's go for it, as long as we have the funds.
Now, once we get this approved, will this go into action to repair the streets right
Yes.
away, or?
Yes, once they sign the contracts and the engineers get all the final paperwork
Are
done.
they gonna work on all of them together, or they're gonna be separate projects?
Yeah, all of them together, there's about probably 15 different blocks, 15 or 20 around town.
Okay, Mr. Martin, so real quick, the funds have already been encumbered, basically, have already been set aside, so we're only asking up the 28,665, that's it.
Correct.
All right.
Y'all previously approved 175,000.
I'll make a motion to approve the additional $28,665.25 for the project.
I'll go and second that.
There's a motion and a second that we approve the additional funds for the street project. As explained by Mr. Marlin, any questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Moving on to item D7, consideration and action to approve the purchase of U.S. flags, poles, and lights. That's page 26 of your packet.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is something that was mentioned after we did the police officers' appreciation with flags that we used. Why didn't we do that with the United States flag and have them at the parks and have them out on primarily Veterans Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July. And so we're asking for, be able to put 25 at each location, 25 along Highway 100 in front of Community Park, 25 here in front of this, and 25 in front of Memorial Park. That's the three major roadways that we own property at, and I think it'll look really good. It's a flag, and then we do, just because most people, when they put out a flag like that, they don't worry about the lighting, but I kind of have a problem not following what they say you're supposed to do with lighting, and so we have a light that underneath it and shines up on that flag to provide it lighting like it's supposed to. So with 2,000, we can get from what we already have to that total of 75. Actually, it puts us at 80 and gives us a few extra. And that's our recommendation.
Any questions, comments?
So, Mr. Bynum, all 75 flags are gonna be lit up?
Excuse me?
All 75 flags are gonna be lit up?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And the flags are gonna be USA flags?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to consider an action to approve and purchase of 75 US flags and poles and lights, and the cost not to exceed more than $2,000.
And I'll second the motion to approve the funds for the purchase of those US flags.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the purchase of US flags, poles, and lights. Any comments, questions, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, it's unanimous. Under D8, consideration and action to approve the audit report for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. That's page 27 of your packet. Mr. Milo?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, if you'll turn to page 28. Just shows the first page shows the 2022 versus 2021 cash and equivalents, and the sales tax receivable. Total assets, 467. Liabilities are just some bills that are due at the end of the year. Accrued expenses, total liability 67,817, leaves a fund balance of 389,650, which is an increase of 8941. So if you'll remember, we talk about a rainy day fund or a fund for a business that comes in, needs some infrastructure items done. Maybe for a veterans memorial that we've been talking about. That's what that's for. So sitting pretty good with that. If you'll go on the next page, back at page 29, you can see the revenue was taxes of $542,000, which was up from $518 the year before. So even though we're seeing a level off of that this year, if you'll recall, we've had pretty good increase over the last 15 years or so, pretty good. Then you can see where it breaks down and shows the actual excess of revenues is 8941. That's what added to the fund balance this year to make that total 389,650, which is the fund balance at the end of the year. So doing real good.
Conclude your report, Mr. Milo.
Yes.
Is there any question, comment, discussion? Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the audit report for 2021-2022 fiscal year.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second that we approve the audit report for 2021, 2022 fiscal year. Any further questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Okay, we're going back to item 5. Consideration and action to support Los Fresnos Little League baseball and softball programs. Step up to the podium and make sure that the button is red so that you get recorded.
Good evening. Name is Jose Vasquez, President for Los Fresnos Little League. First off, I want to take the time to acknowledge our opening ceremonies that we had this past Friday. I think that this year was even greater than last year. We had a really, really good turnout. The participation from our players, we actually had less players this year because of Sports Park opening back up again. They went back to what they call the boundary lines. So within the boundary lines, we ended up with 406 players. That was about 60 players less than last year. And we pretty much are, I think Sports Park ended up with about 67 players for this year. So, I mean, the ones that we didn't get are the ones that ended up in that boundary. One of the things that I did follow through last year with Little League was actually submitting in the documentation needed so that those players that played last year would be grandfathered in for the remainder of their careers. So what they call the remainder of their careers, from they start at age of 4, they go all the way through age of 14 playing at Los Fresnos. So they're grandfathered in for the remainder of their careers. As long as they decide to play with the Little League, they'll be grandfathered in. So it's a longer process, but at the end of the day, I feel that we're doing this for the community. So if we can allow these players to continue playing, whether there is a boundary or not, I think we have to continue doing it. So with that being said, I will continue, putting pressure on the Little League as far as either extending our boundaries so that Olmito and Villarreal Elementary will eventually be zoned to Los Fresnos, because 511 is our cutoff. So those two schools are out of it. I have been in contact with Southwest Region, so I think it's just a matter of time before we get that back into our district again. So, the event this Friday is really a testament for some of you guys that were able to join us. Is a testament of what we're doing, and we are doing it the correct way. It's taking a lot, as board members, as volunteers, and as coaches, it is very difficult. And trust me, there are some times where I just want to quit, but at the end of the day, I look at, my kids, and I look at my youngest, she's 4 years old, and I say, man, I got 10 more years to go, before I actually quit. So we want to give back to the community, the bouncers that we got this year, totally free for the kids. A lot of the activities that we're trying to do is really just giving back to them and giving them some type of something that they can remember, and for us, if we look back at our youth age, I think that those moments that we did in Little League was probably some of the best moments that we can always, remember and talk about. The mayor was there, and he's like, man, I remember when I was playing baseball here, and things like that. It really does hit home, and for me, going through high school here, graduating from here, the biggest thing was saying, I wanted to give back to my community. So we're doing it in a small way, but I think at the end of the day, we are making a big impact. And the biggest thing is we're gaining back the trust from our community and demonstrating to them that, we're here for the long haul. And, it's taking some hiccups and as we're going through, but as long as we do it the right way, I don't think that we'll have any issues going forward. So, this year, 406 players, to me, we look back a couple of years before COVID, and we're at about 67, 75%, if not more, of an increase as far as our community. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have a problem. and it's a good problem. You know, the numbers are growing, and that means our community is growing, and you know, all we can do is just give back to our community. So for those of you that were there on Friday, I think you guys kind of got an idea as far as where Little League is going. And, you know, as for us, we're just trying to give back to not only the community, but our sponsors, is trying to recognize them. As we all know, there is businesses that are struggling. So for them to sponsor us, it's been difficult. So what we're trying to do is just, in a token of appreciation, is just try to recognize them a little bit more, you know, show them in front of the community, and just share with them as much as we can so that we can be able to provide back for what they're giving us. So Mr. Kitterman here is going to share a little bit about our numbers, but I just wanted to let you guys know we really thank you for all your support. And, you know, I can honestly say that we're in the right direction, and we are moving forward. And I think everything is, that puzzle is coming together very, very well. Thank you.
I brought an income statement from 2022. As you can see down at the bottom, the most important number right here is the cost per player. We were at $119.52 last year, and we only charge $75 to play in the Little League. We're also priced in the higher market of the Little League, but it fits with what Boys and Girls charges for their seasons and things like that. So without sponsors around town and people donating money in the CDC, it's simply not possible to put on a Little League that's quality and continues to improve the park, continues to have big events like we had on Friday for the community and bring the community together. That's why we're here today, is to ask you guys to donate again this year. I am very happy to report in that big bold letter that says account balance to start 2022. At the end of the year last year, we had $10,640 in our bank account, which is actually the first time that we're not on probation with Little League, which was paid off a few years ago, and board members didn't have to pull $3,000 or $4,000 out of their pocket to pay for the insurance and fund the start of the season until we collected money from sponsors and things like that. So we are growing, and we are fiscally responsible with the monies that we're getting. Now, if you look, I passed around a picture, rendering. I don't know if everybody got a chance to see that.
I believe those are what, proposals for like a dugout or a seating arena?
Brand new stadium seating for the Los Fresnos Little League. And we're actually working on some grants right now for those. And we're about to announce our fundraiser to the public for it. And we're planning on putting that around the main field down there. We've also got some money allotted to do some overhauls to the softball field and fix some of the things on the other field that's on the other on the school property that we use. So we've got several things working on that we're moving towards for next year.
I got a question.
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Milam, last year we gave them 5,000,
Yes, and
and the year before?
18,000.
17, 18 to get them through COVID. Remember, it was a one-time deal to get them through COVID, 17 or 18,000. And then you budgeted 5 for this year, but you've always asked that they come at the time, so there's already 5,000 set aside.
Okay, and well, here's my question. Looking at the figures here, if it's costing them $119 per player, and the players are, I think, paying what, $75, $78, something like that. They're upside down about 40 some dollars per player. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So my thoughts are, can we deviate from the 5,000 to maybe something like 7,500 to cover that gap? And the question is to Mr. Milo.
Yeah, you can do what you want.
Well, I guess the question is 7,500, you think that would help?
Absolutely. It's been a tough year this year with the businesses and stuff. We're down in fundraising already this year. We're seeing it coming in. We're seeing the concession stand a little bit slower. So yes, it would help.
Because you're,
Yeah, well, the reason I asked is because I know that, the price of rice was much lower about 2 years ago than it is today, and those increases are not being reflected from you, they're being reflected from your cost, because you're having to pay, instead of $10 a shirt, $15 a shirt, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why I'm suggesting, and that's not my argument, but that's my proposal, is that we do 7,500.
yeah, based on that difference, you're upside down about 19,321, correct? No, I said, so 7,500, I think will help them with that $19,000 deficiency that they have based on the amount of players that they have.
Well, don't let me limit you. Although Mr. Mark over there's wheels are turning in his head.
Let me ask a question. On concessions, do you guys pay sales tax or the people pay sales tax or no?
No, sir, we're tax exempt through a 501c nonprofit, and it's considered through the state donations.
So somebody want to consider splitting that upside down amount in half?
I would. I think if we can, based on the numbers, looking at what they're upside down, it's $19,000 that they're upside down. So half of that, 8,500.
Any further questions, comments, discussion? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion to fund for half of those fees, the amount of $8,500, to help the Little League with the fees for the players.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. We increase the recommended amount from 5,000 to 8,500, which would be half of their upside down balance. Any further questions, comments, discussion?
I have some comments to make about the program itself, and I think our president here is doing an excellent job working with the Little League. I don't know if you guys drove by or were there on the opening day ceremonies. There was a lot of participation from our community. Parking was all over that park. I mean, I know we have limited parking, but the city has done what they could to provide more parking space, but it still is not enough. The parking was down to First Street, down to Third Street, and there were cars all over the place. And it just tells us that we're growing as a community. And as the president said, the kids are given to the community by participating, but we as a community need to provide the facilities. When I was a little kid living in Port Isabel, we used to come to Los Frenos to play. And we played on the same two fields that they have right now. But now it's up to 400 kids, and trying to schedule games and try to fit them all in and try to get a minimum of 12 games, because I think that's what they call for. A minimum of 12 games is not going to get you to the level that you need to be in order to compete with the other schools or the other little leagues around the valley. When it comes to playoff time, a lot of times we're one round and we're out because we can't compete by playing 12 games. We need more facilities and we need more games. And as a community, we need to be able to provide those facilities. The park is coming up. I've been here for 30, 40 years, and I've seen the park grow, and I've seen the different presidents that come through in the Little League. Mr. President right here has done an excellent job of promoting it, and I know it's a tough job because I coached Little League for about 15 years. And every year, man, you gotta give up your time and go out there in the hot sun, and hopefully we'll provide these covers for the people that are in the stands to protect them from the sun so they can go and enjoy the baseball games, because they are a lot of fun and you can see your kids growing up. But as a community, we need to figure out how we're gonna provide more facilities for our kids because we continue to grow. I don't think we're gonna go down as far as population. I think we're gonna keep on going. And if you look around the town and you see all the neighborhoods that are coming up, I mean, we're gonna grow and we need to provide for our kids.
I'll just mention that we do have the extra field behind Lopez Reagan's that we've added, as well as the 2 fields from Laurellis that they use. Good facility there. It's within 2.5, 3 miles of our city limits. People in bigger cities drive much further. So they do have, we're working with county and they're working with county to upgrade that facility into a better facility because we don't have the money to pour into another. And if they don't use them, those fields just sit empty. And it's quite an investment that the county, with your tax dollars, put in for our community there. So that does add, and you are scheduling games there, right? They're already playing right now. Yeah, they're playing today, so it's both places. Total of 5 fields.
Yeah, it's my understanding that they're upgrading it already to make it a full field, like the Laureles Park, right?
There's 2 full-size fields.
Yeah, I spoke to, I think, Joe Beggar yesterday, and he was telling me that there's a lot of improvements coming for the Little League, for the baseball field, so that should help out a lot too.
They have another slot for a field, I think, there, right?
I don't think it'll fit.
You don't think it'll fit? Joe Vega keeps saying that it'll fit, but maybe it's a small field, but
I don't think it'll make it. So, but yeah, no, the fields look good. He was out there yesterday from 9:30 in the morning, and I think we left at 7:55, dragging them with the equipment and getting them ready for play. So they look pretty good. Kids are on them right now while we speak.
Very good. My comment is, I went to the opening ceremonies and by surprise, I went because my little boy is playing. And I was surprised when they called for someone from the CDC to come up. I expected just an acknowledgement, but Mr. Alvarez handed me a baseball and said, throw the first pitch. And I asked, almost in a begging tone, can I get closer? And he said, no, you got to throw from the mound. And I'm proud to say, a 72-year-old man threw a strike. And I got a witness right here, Mr. Alvarez.
I thought that was the lamp that broke over there by the park.
The Astros called me, but I didn't return the call. Okay, any further comments, questions? Do I hear a motion? Okay, we have a motion and a second that we have their upside down amount in the amount of $8,500. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen, for the work you do. Moving on to item D10, D9, consideration and action to advertise for bids for the Veterans Memorial Project. Mr. Milo.
known as the estimated cost. I think they're high, but who knows with the cost before we went for bids. I'm not asking for a commitment amount, but knowing that the CDC has enough to cover all of it, I don't think that you should cover all of it. I think it needs to be a participation between the city and the CDC in some amount. But all we're asking now is let's bid it out and get a hard number, and then once we get the hard number, we'll be able to decide how that number is split.
Good. Questions, comments, discussion?
So all you're asking us to do is to approve moving forward?
Move forward, we'll do the bid. We'll go through the bid, and once they accept bids and come with a low bid, we'll come to you and say, hey, it is this amount. Can the city pay this amount, CDC pay this amount? Or do we want to try to get private fundraisers? They'll just take a long time, and I would rather not do that, but we might have to do that. I think we're gonna get lower bids, and it'll be easier to go. But,
Or possibly incremental construction. By that I mean over a period of couple of years.
it would be tough, maybe the landscape piece, but it's really kind of hard you can't, about all you can do is build part of it and then just leave it unfinished, but I don't think we want to do that.
Okay.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, I guess you could say that the parking, not do the parking for a while, not do the landscape for parking, not do the landscape for a year, and the parking, and use the parking that's available, but not sure that is wise, but that can also be
But the first step would be to get a hard number.
hard number.
Any further questions, comments, discussion? Do I hear a motion?
Yes, sir. I'd like to, a motion to advertise for bids for the Veterans Memorial Project as discussed.
I'll second that motion.
There's a motion and a second. We approve advertising for bids for the Veterans Memorial Project. Any questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Moving on to item D10, consideration and action to approve the recommendation of the Advertising and Promotion Committee on sponsorship with RGV Partnership.
Do either of you on the committee want to run with that, or you want me to?
This past week we met, and we went over some of the recommendations that you had asked in the previous, meeting about, expanding the outreach for the city of Los Fresnos. Mark brought some, recommendations for us, or to review some of the advertising programs out there, and we thought it was best to start with the RGB partnership. And we kind of put the other ones on hold based on a campaign development that we want to consider before moving forward with any advertising. As you mentioned, we should expand, but as the committee, Pete was there too, and we decided to create a campaign first before we decide to do any of that. And we decided to go with the sponsorship for the RGB partnership for now.
Any questions, comments, discussion on this item?
Is this a one-time fee or a yearly fee?
It's a yearly fee.
And the amount is
$1,000.
$1,000? Any questions, comments, discussion? Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to consider an action to approve the recommendation of Advertising and Promotional Committee on sponsorship with the RGV partnership. Recommended approval is of $1,000.
Do I hear a second?
I'll go in second.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the recommendation from the Advertising and Promotion Committee for sponsorship in the RGB partnership in the amount of $1,000. Any further questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Moving on to item D11, consideration and action to approve the recommendation of the Advertising and Promotion Committee on seeking a branding campaign. That's page 36 of your packet.
You want to start or you want me to start? What Albert was mentioning in there is we looked at statewide advertising, different advertising, and we kind of came to the point, after looking at a few of them, okay, if you're going to advertise, what are you advertising? And so what the committee felt that is best is go back and say, let's develop a branding, not campaign in itself, but, you know, what would be the advertising, the city logo, and when we're doing a statewide advertising, we're probably going after business. So what would that say and what would that campaign be? And we can use it for several advertising that could be made a decision on a later time. So put forth and give me authorization to get some ideas, quotes from different people on a branding campaign, bring it back to you, and then you approve that. And then from there, you have this campaign that says, Los Fresnos, this is who we are, it's what we're after. Then decide where those advertising dollars are spent. Does that make sense?
It does to me. If what you mean is branding, by branding, you mean like on the border by the sea for Brownsville, and Corpus has another one, Sparkling City or something?
Absolutely.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes, kind of, what we were discussing was, if we're gonna spend money on advertising, for example, in Austin, people don't know Los Fresnos. So how are they gonna know? How are we gonna push because if we just put our city logo on Los Fresnos and, business-friendly community or something like that, I mean, it doesn't really tell you anything about Los Fresnos. So I think we need to come up with a kind of a branding where we have in our website, and we discussed this, putting the information, for example, the retail information that we now have, so the business can have like a QR code in our advertising, and they can actually go there and see what we're about, what are we talking about, what type of plan we have, et cetera. So that's basically what we're looking at. Instead of just going out there, putting a city logo and just saying, come look at it, make it more like attractive for them to actually get a better return on investment on what we're spending, the money that we're spending in advertising.
Sure, like a phrase or a catchphrase for our city, like Houston is Space City. You know, we would be whatever it turns out to be, but yeah.
But it's not just a catchphrase. It's kind of like developing something where we provide that information, because at this point right now, I think Jackie gets most of the calls. This way, people can actually go to our site, go to our office, and pull out the information from there, and we have a branded packet kind of for them. So it's not just going to be the catchphrase; it's going to be kind of like a logo or branding. So, yeah. See, because most of the advertising we're going to do, it's about a quarter of a page. So we have this much space to advertise. So you can't put that much copy into it. So we have to find a way to make it to where they can scan it and be able to go to a website or to somewhere where it'll land and they get more information about us, not just, City of Los Fresnos, business community, blah, 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 and that's it. So make it more attractive for them.
Any further questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to consider an action to approve the recommendation of the Advertising and Promotion Committee on seeking the branding for the,
There's no amount, it's just to seek proposals.
Just seek
and come
proposals.
back to you.
Okay.
Sure, and I'll second that motion as well.
There's a motion and a second. We approve the recommendation of the Advertising and Promotion Committee on seeking a branding campaign. Questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Moving on to item D12, consideration and action to eliminate the Business Program and Bylaws Committee and the CDC Grants Exploration Committee. That's on page 37 of your packet. Mr. Milo?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is what we discussed last time, is that really, we bring those up every time, and there's really not anything for them to do on a normal basis. Get rid of the two that are not active. We already have two that are very active. And then the third one that we found in the bylaws that we need to have, we'll add that. And then have someone serve on each one of those three that are left. But this is just to eliminate these two.
It's baggage. It's baggage.
Yes.
Any questions, comments, discussion? Do I hear a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion, consideration and action to eliminate the Business Program and Bylaws Committee and the CDC Grants Exploration Committee.
Second. I would second.
There's a motion and a second. We eliminate the Business Program and Bylaws Committee and also the CDC Grants Exploration Committee. Any further questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Item D13, consideration and action to change the name of the new Industry Development and City Development Committee to Business Development Committee and reappoint or appoint members. That's page 38 of your packet.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this one is the one that's active, and it basically deals with grants, with sign grants, landscaping grants, storefront improvement grants, and also if a new business would come in seeking help in maybe a different way, where we've helped move a gas line. There's no gas in the area, and they bring a gas line, and so that committee would meet to go over that and make a recommendation to the full board. So all we're asking is to rename it so it's something simple and just plain Business Development Committee. And then at the same time, either keep the same three members or change them, whatever y'all see fit to do that. You should have at least two on each committee, three on one, so that you can have, I guess, three on two of them, so that everyone can at least serve on one board.
I agree with that. I am ready, willing, and able to be the head coach or the water boy. You assign me and I'll be there. So just, I guess, assign us rather than go through the.
Well, if they want to stay, I think,
I mean, I'm fine. I can continue serving if allowed to by the board.
the three, Bill, you good? I would say someone make a motion to approve the new name and reappoint the same three new members.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Sure. I'll motion to change the name of the new Industry Development and City Development Committee to Business Development Committee and reappoint the existing members as they are now.
A second on that one.
There's a motion and a second that we change the name of the new Industry Development and City Development Committees to Business Development Committee and reappoint the existing members. Questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. This is a long agenda today. Never seen that many items in all 900 years that I've been here.
Mr. Chairman, if it's your wishes, could you skip 14 and go to 15 and then go back to 14? I'll explain
I
why.
will. I will. We're going to go to item 15, D15, consideration and action to reappoint or appoint members to the Advertising and Promotion Committee. That's page 40 of your pack.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, on this one is the one that takes care of the advertising and promotion, and it's Albert and Pete. It can stay the same, but we would need to add one because the other committee can only have two. It's the one we're going to talk about next, because it says two in the bylaws, so we have to have only two. So on this one, since Albert's on the other one, we need either Daniel, Leo, or Henry to be on this one, and then the other two on the other committee. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, and I'm in agreement with that.
So however y'all wish to make that happen.
Okay, how about is Pete, you're on one, Pete?
Yes. Just need to be Leo, Daniel, or yourself. On,
If Leo, if you don't mind being on there, and then the next one up,
yeah,
Danny
I'm
and
good.
I will go forward.
I'm good on that.
cool. Motion for that?
Okay, is there a motion to reappoint or appoint members to the Advertising Promotion Committee? Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make a motion to appoint the existing members, Albert and Pete, to the committee we're talking about, the Advertising and Promotion Committee, and add
Me.
Leo, thank you.
Yes.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. We reappoint and appoint members to the Advertising and Promotion Committee as stated it. Any questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Now we're going back to 14. Consideration and action to form a community development capital improvement program committee and appoint two members as specified in the bylaws. That's page 39 of your packet.
That makes this one easy, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This is the one that's in the bylaws that you have to have. So we'd like to create it, and it has two members, and the two members that don't serve on a committee already are Daniel and Ricky, so Henry. So those two, I say, are on that one. That way, everyone is serving on one committee at least.
Any questions, comments, discussion? Do I hear a motion that we reappoint or appoint members to the Advertising and Promotion Committee?
14.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm at the wrong one. Consideration and action to form, that is, create the Community Development Capital Improvement Program Committee and appoint two members as specified in the bylaws. Do I hear a motion?
We'll make a motion to approve the consideration and action to form the Community Development Capital and Program Committee and appoint Henry Juarez and Daniel Alvarez to that committee.
Do I hear a
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second that we create or form the Community Development Capital Improvement Program Committee and appoint myself, Enrique Juarez, and Danny Alvarez as members. Any questions, comments, discussion? That being the case, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Item number 16, D16, consideration and action to excuse the absence of William Lubin from the March 6, 2023 Community Development Corporation meeting. That's page 41 of your packet.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to excuse the absence of William Lubin from the March 6, 2023 Community Development Corporation meeting.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. We excuse the absence of William Lubin from March 6, 2023 CDC meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Item number 17, review of history of CDC projects. That's page 42 of your pack.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I won't spend a lot of time on this. It's more for your information and use as you talk to people. I did put it, it's something I've been tracking since I've been here in 2004, 2005. Mr. Waters remembers that we were broke and we had no money back in those days. And you can see the monies that's, was given in special projects and general projects through the first few years is very small. And that shows each year and where the bulk of the money has gone on projects. You can see in 171,000 in 1920, 108,000 in 2021, and 190, almost 191,000 this past year. Total of 2.3 million, almost 2.4 million dollars back to our community to things like Little League, things like streets and alleys and just different events. That includes the business incentive grants. A lot of those, which as you drive through the city and see the signs, if you remember before we started that project, there was a lot of 4x8 wooden signs. And now we've got some nice signs in front of businesses. So just shows a good job and shows our community where that funding has gone through the years. No action to be taken on it, just information.
Any questions, comments, discussion? I'm looking for the first time we donated to the Little League.
A couple years ago only.
Yeah, I'm at page 47 and I haven't seen it yet.
After the '19 and '20s when we did a bunch of dugout work and field work, and this is really when it started. Prior to that, there wasn't much done.
Okay, there's no action on this one, but gentlemen, I carry this around with me because a lot of times people say, CDC, who are you, Center for Disease Control? And we're not that. We're the community, and a lot of people don't know how much we contribute to it. And if you look at that bottom, that last number, $2,391,000, that's how much we've given back. And with no glory, no interest in it personally or otherwise. And so carry this with you. It's a good idea. Thank you. There's no action on this, so we'll move on to the short report under E from the CDC consultant, Mr. Martinez.
Good evening. As you can see on the report, some of the data provided here are coordinating activities with the city. In future projects I've researched, you asked in prior weeks or months to do some follow-up. I do have information from Hidalgo County Precinct 2 after discussing with them last Friday. This report had already gone out. They, regarding the phone call stations, the system over in Far, Texas is run by the Cameron County Precinct 2, the Hidalgo County Precinct 2. And it cost over approximately $9 million to do about an 8-mile trails, tunnels, lighting. It's a huge project. But the specifics on their phone system, the emergency phone call system, they also installed electricity. So they bought the units, and it's managed by them, and of course, the 911 program. But we don't have electricity on our trails. And that was a major expense that they did out there, and the poles and lightings, etc. Besides the trails and the tunnels and all the other assets out there. And I asked him what's the option, and one of the assistants there that runs this operation, the maintenance operation and maintenance and operation of the trails and systems, said that it would be solar, and those units cost between $15,000 and $20,000 each, and plus labor. So it appears at this point that we need to do some more figuring, more study, and figuring in terms of the utility out here of our trails. It's growing because it's not connected yet to Brownsville, and it will be hopefully in the next 24 months. But that's the latest I've gotten. I'm sorry I couldn't get anything in writing at this point, but I will. And in terms of, we are going to be meeting with your congressman on several projects. As I mentioned before, we've talked with staff, Mr. Milam, and one of the priorities is the post office for better access to that center we had. And we'll be meeting with them, plus other projects that we will be leveraging from the state and federal government in terms of the community and economic development. And of course, I'm going to continue discussions with various entities on affordable housing. Now, affordable housing and single-family housing for pricing of $120,000 or less. And the reason I use that number is because that's what the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development has, the Rural Development Office out of Edinburgh, Mr. Gomez being the regional director, about 19 counties. And they have, we have access, our community has access, certain areas, not all of it's eligible, but certain areas are eligible for $120,000 loans at 3% interest. And as you kept up with the news lately, you'll see that the interest rates have gone up on mortgages and all. So 3% is actually a very good price. So at any rate, I continue doing those connections and see if I can get some nonprofit or private investors to assist. And last but not least, on community activities, Earth Day. They've done a great job. Bianca, you can see on the next page, the committee, and all the sponsors they have coming up on the 22nd. Am I correct? Yes, Bill. It's a Saturday. And the tremendous amount of outpouring of interest about our nature, our area, in terms of its nature and its environment. It's been a tremendous response, as you can see right here on the next 2 pages. And finally, we continue to do outreach and information to the state senator and state representative. In fact, I got a call today from one of the lobbyists in one of the HR bills that is up there on economic development that was worked through, in part, through us, through our state rep. And it's working. We'll keep you posted on how that happens after May. But that and all, I really do want to invite you to come by on Saturday the 22nd to the Earth Day event because you've invested in it, as you have in developing the brand of Los Fresnos, of community and activities of diversified, so which makes diversified action activities, which makes Los Fresnos a very vibrant community. So I invite you to be out there. We will be. Any questions?
Mr. Martinez, I have a comment in the middle section where it says prepare an agenda for meeting with U.S. Congressman Vicente Gonzalez. I got an email from him.
Did you?
And he basically said, if there's a project you need help with, let me know, because there's money in Washington, but I can't go just dream it up and make it up. If we give him the ammo, he'll go and shoot it
Good.
for us.
Yes,
So, it's very interesting that you do this, and I'm saying this because you're doing it, but I'm also saying it because Mr. Kitterman is here. You know, that little dugout and with that cover and all of that, there may be some federal money there for you, and our consultant is here to help you if you ever
That's correct.
decide you need some help. He's here for the community. But anyway, those are my comments on your
Good.
report.
Yes, I will. I'm here to, not only business, but nonprofits, of anything that's good for the kids, the students, adults, businesses. That's what I'm here for. Thank you.
We'll take federal dollars. Okay, moving on to the next item. Item F, report from the general manager regarding Veterans Memorial, lighting at Memorial Park, retail market analysis, and landscaping, page 55 of your packet.
We already discussed Veterans Memorial, so we'll go out for bids. I do have to get approval from City Council as well next week. Lighting Memorial Park, they have told us that they hope that those fixtures come in sometime during this month. They've been back ordered and back ordered and back ordered. Retail market analysis, we still have not got the upgrades that we wanted. Some of the ideas that was mentioned with you, with us, with the City Council, to include in that document to have packaged then to give people and also on our website. So we hope we'll get that in the next week or two and go ahead and post that. Landscaping visibility for businesses, we haven't got any good bids yet. We've got some bids, but they're not good ones. So we'll keep working on that.
Does that conclude your report, Mr. Milo?
Yes, sir.
Questions, comments, discussion from Mr. Milo? It's not an action item, right? We can move on. Okay. Under G, committee reports and action as may be appropriate. Did we already cover this, or is this something we need to go on?
I left it there because if you didn't take the action that you did, we would need to address it now. This can go away and just be on there when it's as needed. And so
Okay.
you won't have to say every time there's no action on any of them, because if there'll be, we'll put them on there when there's action to be taken on the new ones that you created.
Okay. Item H, time is 7:14, meeting adjourned. Good meeting, gentlemen. And Miss Jackie.